Now, Italy is facing more political uncertainty after no party or coalition won an outright majority in yesterday's elections. The populist anti-Europe Five Star and League parties were the biggest winners, with their leaders claiming they should have the right to govern. But with weeks of protracted negotiations in store, Italy is once again being branded ungovernable. Our Europe editor, Matt Fry, is in Rome. Matt.
Well, it's true, John, that there is a sort of ungovernability about Italy. That's certainly the cliche. And yes, it's also true that this country's had more governments than Christmases since 1945. But that also used to mark a certain stability. Now, that stability began being eroded about 2.5 decades ago when Mr. Berlusconi first started throwing rocks at the establishment here. Well, today he had rocks thrown at him by a new generation of populists, angry with the state of the economy, angry with the political establishment, angry with the status quo, and also angry with the European Union. Brussels, for the populists here, has become very much a lightning rod of discontent. Soaring above Rome, the altar of the nation. Since its completion under Mussolini, the grandeur of this marble wedding cake has frequently rubbed up against the reality of Italian politics. And today, in the rain, was one of those days. The Italian flag reflected the limp mood of the former ruling parties. Less eternal flame, more bonfire of past certainties. And here's the man who helped to light the bonfire, if you can spot him in the middle of this scrum of bodyguards and journalists. Luigi Di Maio, 31 years old. The mayhem around him reflects the turmoil that his party, the Five Star Movement, has unleashed. With a third of the vote, they're now the biggest force in parliament. They dominate the landscape from Rome to Sicily, a protest movement founded less than a decade ago by a comedian. Their youth means that they're untainted by the corruption of experience.
Today is the birth of the Third Italian Republic, the one that finally looks after the interests of the Italian people.
Quite a boast, and it comes after a campaign that has fanned and fed off widespread anger against the euro, if not the EU itself. How ironic. It was here on the 25th of March in 1957, in the palace behind me, on the glorious Capitoline Hill in Rome, that the founding members of what later became known as the European Union signed the Treaty of Rome. This is where the vision began. But it's also here, in Rome, in Italy today, that that project has received a major slap in the face. If Di Maio is Eurosceptic, then the man at the heart of this scrum is Euro-hostile. Matteo Salvini, the leader of the League, the other big winner today. He wants to deport hundreds of thousands of illegal migrants en masse. And his slogan is Italians first. Ring a bell?
On every level, yesterday's vote shows that the Italians want to decide for Italy. Not the bond markets, not Berlin, not Paris, not Brussels. Italians decide for Italy.
This stuff is music to the ears of his supporters. 18% of Italian voters. And last week, he was even more blunt. You once called the euro the greatest crime against humanity, il crimine maggiore contro la umanità.
Una moneta tedesca fatta per avvantaggiare.
The euro is a German currency designed for the benefit of Germans. We will change the rules so that the currency benefits all Europeans, not just Germans.
And then there's Silvio Berlusconi, the billionaire godfather of Italian protest politics. Now wiser and older, his pitch had been that he can tame his far right-wing allies. Last week he wiped Salvini's brow. Now Salvini has wiped the floor with him, overtaking his Forza Italia party. Berlusconi has been demoted to political mummy, but his smile refuses to die. And the leaders of Europe who once disdained him may end up missing him as the devil they knew. After Brexit, the rise of the AfD in Germany, Hungary, Poland and the rest, Italy has now joined the ranks of countries rattling the foundations of the EU. Brussels, we really do have a problem. Now, of course, we like to see so many things through the prism of Brexit, and Brexiteers might look at Italy today and say, we told you so. but that doesn't mean it's going to make it easier for them negotiating the next phase of Brexit. This is, after all, being driven by Berlin, by Paris and by the Commission, and they haven't changed their view, although some might argue that they should under the current circumstances. As for the building behind me, that's where the Prime Minister works. We have no idea who that new Prime Minister will be, but arguably Italy has much bigger problems than just not having a government. Back to you.
Matt Fry in Rome.